Welcome to Pharmaceutical Technologies Podcast, expert training from PDA, an investment in your future. This podcast is brought to you by PDA. PDA is the leading provider of science, technology, regulatory information, and education for the biopharmaceutical community. To find out more, please go to www.pda.org. And now, here's your host for this podcast, the content editor for special projects for pharmaceutical technology, Shannon Stoltz.
Hello, everyone. This is Shannon Stoltz, Content Editor, Special Projects for Pharmaceutical Technology, and I'm here with David Talmage, Vice President of Education at PDA. Thank you so much for being here today, David.
Well, thank you for having me.
So to get this discussion started, what is PDA training?
So it's a really good question because it's a lot of things that is important to the pharmaceutical industry from not only from a company standpoint, from the industry side of things, but also from a regulatory perspective. It's an experience that provides positive outcomes to patients' lives. And we do that through the training courses that we provide at our training facility in Bethesda, Maryland. So it's the topics that are important to people that are manufacturing medicine for people, and making sure that we're able to, convey what the industry thinking is, best practices, standards, so that a patient can expect to get their medicine delivered to them without any issues, without any contamination. And so our training is really focused, PDA training is really focused in on that positive outcome for patients. Something that a person that attends this training can connect the regulations to the practices that they're doing in their facility, and making sure that they're putting it all together and disseminating their information throughout the organization, that they provide that level of knowledge that they need to accomplish getting the product to the patient.
On what topics does PDA provide training?
So we have what we call our core areas of training from so we deal more with the manufacturing and quality side of the pharmaceutical industry. And our flagship area is aseptic processing. This encompasses a wide range of topics about gowning, cleaning and disinfection, to aseptic process simulation, environmental monitoring, filtration. So there's a wealth of topics as a subtopic within aseptic processing. And we have a flagship course that we provide as a 2-week program that kind of touches each of the general topics from an aseptic processing standpoint. And if one attendee would want to know more, their expertise, they're trying to build an expertise in a certain area, then they can go to our advanced courses in that particular topic. So from an aseptic processing standpoint, we cover, and I'll use this as an example, we cover environmental monitoring. And we touch on the subject of environmental monitoring from a standpoint of how do you sample, where do you sample, sort of the base level topics. But then we have a specific 3-day course that we provide in environmental monitoring, where it dives deeper into the techniques, the program, the process, the technology that goes with that. So our main area, we start out with aseptic processing, our flagship, and that leads off to other areas that we have training courses in, which are cleaning and disinfection, environmental monitoring, lyophilization, sterile filtration. And that's kind of on the hands-on, the doer side of things, where people will participate doing hands-on activities with equipment and instruments as they perform those tasks. So it's not just a sit in a classroom knowledge standpoint, it's also practical skill application in our training facility. Then there's other topics that we hit from a quality and compliance standpoint. So we do topics on regulations. What are the regulations state? How do you apply them in your training facility or in your manufacturing facility? Along the lines of quality risk management. How do I effectively employ a quality risk management or a QRM program in your facility? And how do I perform a risk assessment? We also look at human factors, and a lot of the overlaying subjects that we have, that if you look at human factors, it's in each one of these topic areas. And so we have a specific focus area on human factors or human error reduction, where we have a series of courses in that topic area where it's specific to the pharmaceutical industry, that they can learn about how to prevent human error, how to improve human performance in their areas. And so this aligns with what are some of our main areas of focus as PDA as a whole, focusing on from a topic area standpoint.
Great, thank you. And where can PDA deliver training?
So this is a really interesting question, because we are a global organization, and I always want to tell people that we can deliver this anywhere in the world. And from a knowledge standpoint, if you give us a classroom anywhere or a conference room, we're able to bring our subject matter experts in and provide that training to the participants. And that's what people traditionally think about from a training perspective when they say, I went to a training course. For us, though, we have a couple of areas where we enhance that. We have a training facility here in Bethesda, Maryland. It's called we call it TRI, the Training and Research Institute. And in that facility, we have actual equipment. We have a traditional fill line. We have an isolator. We have an autoclave. We have a dehydrogenation oven. We have the labs to support those areas. So it's really a hands-on experience that's, similar, as close as possible to what you would see at a pharmaceutical company. We've recently just, but with that, it gives us it's a fixed place here in Bethesda, Maryland. And we know with COVID, we've learned that, online became a factor of that, and also people's willingness to travel very far. So we've looked at and have employed bringing the training to local regions where we can say, look, you don't have to take a 5-hour flight. You can come to a facility in that region where we'll provide hands-on training at that facility. We've recently, over 2022, we recently employed virtual reality as a part of our training program, so that, again, as close as we can to real hands-on, now you put on a virtual reality headset and it can transport you into a clean room and provide, I won't say not 100% similar, and it's not designed to be that way, but it gives you, instead of an instructor putting a picture up on the presentation or a video, it allows us to transport somebody into that environment. So from a hands-on perspective, they can actually participate in a virtual space. So we're able to provide that training at any facility or any space globally. We also have another facility over in India where we've been partnering with a company over there to provide a replication of what the training that we provide in the United States, where we can provide it hands-on, the same hands-on experience, the same PDA curriculum over at that location. So first and foremost, where we can find a location that has equipment and facilities where we can come in and people can learn by doing that, we seek those out and we have them as part of our training program. Like I said before, with COVID and even pre-COVID, we were had a plan in place to move to some of our training to an online format, because we can reach a wider audience globally. And so with COVID, it sort of expedited that, but now we have as our part of our routine curriculum, we do online training. And it's a mixture between lecture and breakout sessions, as a lot of people are familiar with, and in terms of online platforms where you can still do group interaction and group activities. And so we've incorporated that into our online training, because that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on at PDA from a training standpoint is the interaction between the trainer and the participants, and the participants with the other participants, because learning from what other companies do. So having that social capability from an online standpoint was one of the key parameters that we looked for when we decided to expedite our move to online training. We always Other places that we do training are also with our conferences. At our signature events, we hold training courses that are relevant to the theme of the conference itself. As we want to pass that knowledge on to others. And again, with virtual reality, it'll allow us to still have that physical movement capability within that training course. From a geography standpoint, we've provided training on every continent except for Antarctica. We work with our local chapters in the topic areas, and we partner with them to hold events and training events globally, because we want to be able to bring our curriculum that PDA has from a global standpoint. We want to make sure that it's getting out there and it's in the hands of the geographic regions that need it the most. So we're able to take our training, pack up our supplies, whatever we need to provide that training, and we can conduct it pretty much anywhere. But again, the hands-on experience is what we look for when we provide that training outside of our training facility here in Bethesda, Maryland.
Great. And finally, what can one expect to experience when they attend a PDA training?
So as I've mentioned before, one is from a trainer standpoint, we have subject matter experts, world-class trainers that have years of experience in their field. And so I'll use the sterile filtration as an example. We bring in somebody that has 25, 30 years of experience in that particular subject matter, and they are current with the regulations and the practices that one would employ in the industry. So it gives them, so from our trainer perspective, we use highly qualified individuals that are committed to teaching. Now, they're not just the subject matter expert, but they can actually teach as a part of that. And that interaction that we have with the trainer and the attendees. So when an attendee shows up to a training course, they can expect that there's going to be a knowledgeable person in front of them presenting the materials. When they get into the classroom itself, they're going to experience a high level of interaction. Like I said, not only between the trainer and the attendees, but also between the participants themselves, because we want to be able to pass the knowledge from, somebody at one company may have had a similar problem, and by sharing with each other, they can say, all right, well, we employed this solution, or we learned this at our company, and there's some sense of networking with that, and they can build this cadre of peers that will allow them to interact beyond the training course itself. We always ask this question in our training courses that we send around a list of, hey, would you be interested in sharing your contact information with others in the class so you can further interact beyond this and kind of build your lifelong network. And I would say 99% of the time everybody signs up, and we always hear back from people that experience that they had, they've not only built friendships with other people at other companies, but they've built they're kind of their own knowledge bank that they can rely on. When someone's sitting in a class at PDA, I always say sitting is you won't be sitting very long. We want people getting up and moving and doing the hands-on piece, even if it's a demonstration in a classroom. We have that high level of interactivity because you're going to remember more when you actually apply some of these concepts than just sitting there and looking through a bunch of slide decks or presentations or documents. It's the transfer of that knowledge to a practical application standpoint. So whenever we provide training here at TRI, we get them out of the classroom as much as possible into the actual manufacturing training facility. When we're doing it at a hotel, in a hotel conference room, we have crates upon crates of supplies and props that we use so that people get the hands-on activity. A good example of that is, and it's not an attractive concept or an attractive topic, but think about cleaning and disinfection. How to clean a cleaner, cleaning a wall. Well, it's ideal to do it in our training facility, but give us a wall anywhere in any type of structure, and we're able to demonstrate and have people demonstrate the same concept. So we really want them to have that hands-on experience when they come to PDA training.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that informative overview, David. We really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me.
This has been Shannon Stoltz, Content Editor, Special Projects for Pharmaceutical Technology. Thanks to all for listening.
You've been listening to Pharmaceutical Technologies Podcast, expert training from PDA, an investment in your future. This podcast is brought to you by PDA. PDA is the leading provider of science, technology, regulatory information, and education for the biopharmaceutical community. To find out more, please go to www.pda.org.